Constitution, I was asked, what is the Constitution? Well, as my good friend James Curtis said earlier today, the Constitution is a trust. It is a trust between the people and those whom we elect to serve as our representatives, and unfortunately that trust has been very badly abused over the last 200 plus years. The Constitution and the attendant Bill of Rights represents what is really best about the American experiment in government, in that it represents a principle that we the people basically give government its powers. The powers of government are enumerated and limited. We tell the government what powers it has. The rest of those powers are reserved to us. And it is this notion of limited enumerated powers that I think actually makes the American experiment in government one that has been the success that it has been. It's not been as successful as it could be if the politicians would simply respect the limits that the Constitution places upon them. I have a friend that teaches at Georgetown. He asks people, what is it about America that makes you most proud? What are the things, if you were trying to explain America to people who are not Americans, what is it that makes you the most proud about America? And invariably, people list freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly. In other words, all the things that are freedoms against government power. All of those things that, in effect, allow us as Americans basically to live our lives as we see fit, as long as we don't violate the like rights of our neighbors. The Constitution and the Bill of Rights basically establishes a framework of democratic Republican government that really is something special in human affairs. And unfortunately, those people whom we have trusted to serve as our representatives unfortunately don't seem to recognize the limits upon their activities that are inherent in the Constitution. I was very impressed by Ms. White's comments. Let me share with you, I had the pleasure of addressing the Tea Party in Roanoke on Independence Day. Let me share with you a word of caution and a word of hope. I'll keep my remarks very brief because we have a lot of good speakers. Unlike me, we have a lot of good speakers this evening. The word of caution is, on the 22nd of June, I had the honor of being an interviewee on a radio broadcast concerning the Kelo decision. I assume most of you remember the Kelo decision, where basically the Supreme Court said, yes, it is okay for city governments to snatch your property for damn near any reason they want. Boo. Yes, boo. I think we can all share a great big boo with that. And the reason I mention this is that 4 years before, pretty much everyone was really upset by the Kelo decision. The day after Kelo was handed down, I was at a beer festival in Northern Virginia, at one of my favorite things, drinking beer, and people were practically coming up and grabbing me by the lapels to say, Jim, how do we fight against this terrible blow against our liberty? Well, a year later, on the anniversary of the Kelo decision, there were some of us who drew attention to this monstrosity, but didn't seem people had been able to maintain their anger. 2 years later, it really took some effort to find people who were willing to go out and basically make a big issue of this. 4 years later, in other words, this June, you would be hard-pressed to find anyone who really remembered what had happened 4 years previously. And I mention this because we who are in what I will call the Leave Us Alone coalition, I steal that phrase from Grover Norquist, those of us who simply want to live our lives in peace and harmony with our neighbors, we're not interested in politics the way the people on the other side are. We basically just simply want to live our lives as we see fit. The folks on the other side, the ones about whom, the ones who are causing the problem, the ones who are not respecting the limitations on their power that the Constitution sets forth, they seem to like politics in a way that we don't. I mean, every one of you is unusual in the sense that you were willing to take your valuable time to come out here and participate in this event. But there are literally millions of people who share our perspective, the Leave Us Alone perspective, who are not here. And unfortunately, they're the ones we have to reach. Again, the people in what I'll call the takings coalition, those who seem to feel that government is there basically to take from one to give to another. They enjoy politics in a way we don't. And when we take the field of battle, we have to understand they're willing to invest enormous time and effort to win. And are we willing to put in that same time and effort? The basketball coach, Bobby Knight, Bobby Knight used to talk about the will to win. Do you have the will to win? Coach Knight said, everybody's got the will to win. Do you have the will to prepare? Do you have the will to work hard? And those of us who believe in limited constitutional government, in government respecting its bounds, we have to be willing to work hard to reclaim our liberties. And let us not have any misunderstanding, not likely among this crowd. Let us not have any misunderstanding. Our liberties are vanishing at a frightening pace. This is a very dangerous time for the American Republic. Thank God for people such as you who are willing to be here. The word of hope that I'll leave you with is, to put it bluntly, folks, we're right. The vision of America, of a country of liberty and personal responsibility, our views are right. Societies based on principles of liberty and personal responsibility are simply better societies. They're richer societies. And I don't mean richer in the sense of more TV sets or toaster ovens. I mean in the sense that you can pursue your vision, your dreams, your God, as long as you respect the basic rights of your neighbors. I mean, folks, our vision is right. And doggone it, we should be proud of it. And I think ultimately, because we are right, we're ultimately going to triumph. But it won't be without a lot of hard work and effort. So with that, I'll leave it to the good speakers to come up and inspire you further. Allow me to thank you again for being here. You are patriots in the best sense of the term. Thank you all, and let's go out and win back our country. Thank you.